project evaluation and review technique, referred to as PERT, is very powerful but can be a bit confusing. In this clip, we will go through the first step in PERT, which is to draw a network diagram. There are two PERT diagram formats that can be used. Activity on arrow format, where the activities and times are written along the arrows between the nodes, and activity on node format, where the activities are represented in the nodes or shapes of the diagram, and the times are written along the arrows. For this example, we are going to use the activity on node format and map out a small renovation project. The information needed for constructing our PERT diagram is the list of project activities and also the column of preceding activities. These are the activities that must be completed before you can start the activity that is listed. You need to remember to not just look at the numbers. There are good reasons why you can't start one activity before finishing another. Think about this project. You can't lay a new floor slab before you have excavated and removed the existing floor. It just can't be done. And you wouldn't be able to build a new toilet until you have removed the old toilet block. To draw our PERT diagram, we are going to work through the list of activities step by step. So first, we will draw a start and end node. Then we identify the first activity. We do this by looking for any activity that does not have a preceding activity. In this case, it is remove the kitchen, which is activity 1. So we draw an activity node for activity 1 in our diagram, and then we draw an arrow from the start node to activity 1. We now consider activity 2, which is remove the toilet block. The preceding activity for this is activity 1, so the arrow will move from 1 to 2. The third activity to consider is excavate the floor for the new slab. The preceding activity is activity 2, so our arrow will move from 2 to 3. The next activity is activity 4, remove the mezzanine, which has the same preceding activity as activity 3. That is, they both stem from activity 2. This means that the path has now split. So we will draw an arrow from activity 2 to activity 4. Activity 5 follows on from activity 4, so we continue drawing the arrow from activity 4 to activity 5. Now things can start to get a little confusing. Activity 6 is to lay the new slab, and it is not dependent on activities 4 and 5. It is actually dependent on activity 3, and so we need to make sure that we enter this on the correct path. We need to find activity 3 and then draw the arrow from there to activity 6. Activity 7, build toilets, is dependent on activity 6, so we draw the arrow from 6 to 7. Activity 8 is to fit out the toilets. This activity occurs after activity 7 is completed, so we draw the arrow from 7 through to 8. Once again, we need to be careful because activity 9 is dependent on activity 6, not on 7 and 8. And if we get this wrong, we will confuse the paths. So we need to find activity 6 and draw the arrow from there to activity 9. We are now really close to finishing this drawing, so we need to look at activity 10. Fit out the kitchen with its preceding activity as activity 9. So the arrow is drawn from activity 9 to activity 10. And we have now completed the review of all activities, and we have 3 paths. We need to complete these paths by linking up the final activities on each path to the end node. That is activities 8, 10 and 5. Now that we have completed the diagram, we will be able to move on to calculate the estimated times for the activities and the project's critical path.